So this is Mal Reviews. Whoa. So as everyone knows, my anime list is one of the biggest sites of to parse anime-related thingy-majiggies. And there's all kinds of things to it, including reviews by the users. Now, user reviews can vary in many different ways because everybody's a critic. But every now and again, you find these reviews that are just absolutely fucking ridiculous. They're hilariously, like, I'm not even calling them bad, but they just absolutely rip into a show. So my goal is to read some of the reviews that have a really bad rating for one reason or another, or an ironically good rating. And I'm just gonna kind of pick a few at random and see if I can find something. But I am open to suggestions because if you know any, then let me know. But I'm actually gonna start with one that I'm very familiar with. I'm gonna open this one with my favorite one ever, and I've read it on stream a few times, and it's from Sword Art Online 2. Sword Art Online 2, one of my favorite reviews I've ever read. Let's see, which one is it? I believe it's this one. Just double check. Yep, this is the one. This is the one. This is a classic. Alright, so massive spoiler warning, by the way. I will be telling you what show it is when I put it up. If you don't want to be spoiled, I understand. But I'll be focusing mainly on poor reviews for shows you probably weren't going to watch anyway, but I will put a disclaimer just in case. So this is for Sword Art Online 2. Here, you can see the page. This is the page. This is Sword Art Online 2, a 6.71 on Mal. Rated by 1,211,524 users. This came out in summer 2014. And here is the review. This one, by Veridin. An overall rating of 4. Alright, are you ready, chat? You are free to read it if you would like, but since I can't really show you anything, I figured I'll just show you the review itself. You can read it to yourself if you want. You don't want to listen to me, but I'm going to read this, so here we go. Minor spoilers ahead. There are a lot of things that can be said about Sword Art Online, and most of these things are not pleasant. I will not mince words. I am no fan of the series. The first season was filled with so many issues, both significant and minor, that even watching a single episode was an incredible test of patience. There were some neat ideas hidden between the mountains of nonsense, and while I can understand why the show was so enjoyable to so many people, in my case, it was like an aneurysm waiting to happen. What's that word? Dichotomy? Dichotomy? Hold on, I gotta Google that. Chad, I gotta Google that word. Dichotomy. A division or contrast between two things that are represented or being opposed as entirely different.
Dichotomy.
Dichotomy. Ah, dichotomy. I see. Okay. Alright. There is often a dichotomy of opinions towards the show. There are the fans who adore the characters and setting and staunchly defend their right to enjoy whatever they please. And then there are the critics who despise everything the series stands for, often going to the extreme of attacking the fanbase and treating the series like it's an abomination forged in the fiery pits of hell. And that is precisely why, regardless of which side you stood on, Sword Art Online was likely not the kind of series that could be given a shrug and promptly forgotten. The same cannot be said for the second season of Sword Art Online. Whereas the first season was either the Song of Angels or the Cacophony. It's a reference. It's a deep cut. Of demons. The second season is the essence of mediocrity. It delivers even more of the virtual reality MMORPG setting and Kirito's usual time to save the day and wink at my bitches attitude. But that's really all it is. More. It's not offensively bad like the first season was, though it does come close at times, nor does it deliver anything to keep the fans particularly excited. It is a sequel that exists to be a sequel. It exists because the author created a successful franchise and thus he needed to keep the fans appeased by throwing more Kirito and Asuna their way. The story could and should have ended after the first arc, but profits seem to speak more than the artistic expression, so it goes. It's a deep cut, chat. I know how to pronounce it. To have a discussion about Sword Art Online is to discuss its flaws. There is almost an endless supply of issues to complain about. And while I will not be able to mention all of them, lest this reveal reach novella length, I also do not believe that enjoyment alone is enough reason to praise an anime, so you will have to forgive me for nitpicking the show to death. The little things do add up after a while. Death by 1,000 cuts, they say. Sword Art Online's lackluster second offering begins with the initial promising, and quickly disappointing, Gun Gale Online, or GGO arc. After the events of the first season, Kirito is tasked with investigating the murder of several people within GGO, because, well, apparently a teenager is more capable than the police or a federal agent who have actually been trained in investigation. He is also forced by his contractor to play in the game as a female avatar, because reasons. If that is supposed to be a method to help conceal his identity, it certainly does not have any effect when he continues to refer to himself as Kirito. Most likely, the author simply put this in so that the fans might be able to write Yuri Dojins and fulfill their secret desire to be the little girl. That's cool, either way, but it doesn't do much to establish the series as something can be taken even remotely serious. I read that last line a bit wrong, but it's okay. Speaking of his female avatar, Kirito is seemingly the only guy in the entire game who plays as the opposite sex. You would think that's pretty normal. It's common enough that people often have to question the real-world gender of female avatars, but every single guy in the game believes without a shred of doubt that Kirito is actually a girl. You know, there was a joke about this at the start of the original Sword Art Online, when all the characters' avatars are made to look like their real bodies, and the dude who's adventuring around with a girl, there suddenly is two guys next to them, and it's like, what, you're a guy? It's like, apparently this happens in MMOs. I don't play MMOs, but I have a feeling that there are some people that, you know, they could use a little bit of help, I suppose. They should probably go touch some grass, kick sand, pet some water, you know. Where was I? Yes. And so they hit on him and fawn over him. Sinon even goes into a full-blown rage when she finds out about Kirito's actual gender, stating how she feels betrayed and how Kirito was a liar for not telling her in the first place. Like, okay? I guess the author felt it necessary to turn Kirito into a heroine himself because that somehow wasn't enough fan service already. What with all the frequent shots that stare directly at Sinon's butt. Kirito being Kirito, he immediately makes a name for himself by winning a near impossible minigame with little to no effort, and while sure it isn't too strange that someone would immediately get the feel for an MMORPG, it is certainly a problem when his playstyle is utterly contrary to the nature of the game. GGO is not a game about melee combat, it is about guns, grenades, and positioning. If a player decides to pull a knife 20 feet away from someone with a machine gun, they will be absolutely and utterly destroyed. Or at least that would be common sense if sense actually applied to Kirito. He decides to use a lightsaber, yes seriously, in a first-person shooter, and then proceeds to dodge or cut every single bullet that ever crosses his path. And in one case, even sends a bullet flying into a building, which then causes the entire thing to collapse. Apparently, he deflected a tank shell. Perhaps Kirito is some sort of god, seeing as he can think and react thousands of times faster than any other human being. The show explains it away with some high agility stats nonsense, failing to realize that Kirito predicting the path of dozens of bullets 2 feet in front of him requires superhuman thought, just as it requires superhuman speed. It seems Kirito is so powerful that petty concepts such as sense do not apply to him. Praise be to our god Kirito. May he forever bless us. Thankfully, the addition of Sinon creates a bit of distraction from the Kirito bullocks. But her being a female character, she is still inevitably becomes a part of Kirito's harem, and he manages to swoon her by spouting some of the most embarrassingly cliche lines I've perhaps ever seen in an anime. Let me quote one of those brilliant lines. "No one dies here. When that person dies, the part of them that lives within someone else dies too. You already live within me." And yes, this is actually something he says within the show. Now excuse me while I go vomit. By the way, this is Rhythm Heaven Carnival's game 2 for Romilia. It's very, very good. And then it gets to the drop. This is the easy part, because this is the hard mode version. 1, 2, 3, go. Then it gets fast. This one is as simple as pressing a button to dodge, but it's so visually pleasing. I'm really good at this one, too. I like this one a lot. It's one of my favorites to play. Where am I? There is also one particularly obnoxious scene in the second episode where Sinon, falling from the top of a skyscraper, somehow dodges all but one of the hundreds of bullets hurling at her from the Gatling gun below. All of them land just a few feet below her, which one would assume is because the shooter is trying to match his aim with her falling speed. Except if he wasn't completely lacking in brain cells, he would realize that all he needs to do is stop moving his aim for a fraction of a second, and Sinon would be annihilated. No such thing happens, and Sinon sends a sniper bullet through his head as she approaches the ground, because this is how sniper rifles work. Spouts a cheesy catchphrase, "The Endo," and lands with one of those cliche shots where her back faces her dying enemy. I'm not sure if this scene was supposed to be cool or something, because the only emotions it conveyed to me were frustration and embarrassment. Embarrassment over the fact that I just finished watching something that even 10-year-olds would think dumb. Sinon's trauma is somewhat interesting, for it at least creates a character in the show who is actually flawed as a person. But the manner in which his trauma is developed is far from great. She's portrayed as being emotionally strong, even more so than Asuna or our god Kirito. And then as soon as she sees the same pistol that was used in the incident from her trauma, she immediately turns into a suicidal mess, saying how she doesn't care about dying while actively making an attempt to survive. Whatever. The trauma is not there to develop Sinon's character in any meaningful way or to carry any message about the struggles of post-traumatic stress disorder, but simply exists to establish her as a tragic heroine so that the audience can pity her and empathize when Kirito's desire to protect her. How exciting! The show also tries to create a trauma for Kirito too, although it only ever comes across as a lame, cloying attempt to make him a darker character. He is apparently haunted by his Sao days where he was forced, in self-defense, to kill 2 players who were murderers themselves. He is so damaged by the incident that in one scene, a nurse actually hugs and comforts him. But his supposed trauma is never explored in any depth and is forgotten about as quickly as it's mentioned. The fact that he can laugh, smile, and engage in PvP only moments later is a testament to the fact that it never really mattered in the first place. It also shows that the author has no idea what kind of character he even wants Kirito to be. Is he a dark anti-hero or a lighthearted goof who just happens to be good at MMORPGs? The show has no idea. It throws Kirito from personality to personality, to the point where you have no idea who the hell he even is anymore. This is a very long review, by the way. This is a 4 out of 10 review, alright? 4 out of 10. 4 out of 10. The story surrounding the antagonist of GGO, cheesily named Death Gun, deserves a small amount of praise for its willingness to change the show's formula a little bit by creating a meaningful connection between the virtual world and the real world. The way in which Death Gun carries out his crimes is actually quite neat, but the identity of the killer is perhaps less so. The killer immediately transforms into a raging lunatic the second their identity is revealed, committing their crimes for reasons as dumb as, "I hate my parents!" It is so difficult to write an antagonist that actually has personality and a legitimate, though disagreeable, reason for their actions. It's not as though every person who ever commits a bad deed is a psychopath. Normal people do bad things too. Most of the suspense of Death Gun's murder spree is created through dumb contrivances, though. The character cannot log out of the middle of a tournament, meaning it is impossible to avoid being killed by Death Gun unless they defeat him in the game themselves. I am pretty sure it would be against every sort of law imaginable, especially after the Sao incident, for players to not be able to leave the game whenever they please. What if there's something urgent going on in the real world and they can't get to it because the tournament is taking longer than expected? What if their bloody house is on fire? This restriction is utterly asinine. It would never actually exist, but I suppose there wouldn't be much of a story if it didn't. Sword Art Online is less interested in creating a believable world and more in twisting and changing everything about it to fit with the author's whims. I need to crack my neck. Oh, I know you didn't hear that, but damn, that was loud. But it's also my neck, so I could hear it directly in my ears, my body. It reverbs. The story of GGO is over before it even starts. It's a shame, because the setting actually carried a surprising amount of potential. The post-apocalyptic mercenary-led and cyberpunk wasteland of GGO is far more exciting than the tired fairies and elves and swords fantasy of SAO and ALO. Once the fight with Deathgun is wrapped up, Kirito and his harem simply move on to the next game without much care. Except the next game is just AOL, ALO, I got instant messenger on the brain, all over again. The second arc of the story is a forgettable haze of nothing. All that happens during these 3 episodes is that Kirito obtains the most powerful sword in the game because he wasn't already powerful enough or something. There's also more utter stupidity, like Kirito and his party being pulled into a quest line that can actually delete the entire game's data. I am absolutely sure the developers would program something that allows years of hard work and their entire source of revenue to be brought to nothing, right? And the next game is more ALO 2. Although the story does attempt to take a different turn in the third and final arc by temporarily passing the protagonist's baton to Asuna, but even a lack of Kirito seemingly cannot do much to improve the series. Even with the incredible amount of details given to Asuna's character, her troubled relationship with her mother, who wants her to lead a normal life, her feelings about the future, and her struggle to save a newfound friend. Somehow, after those episodes and all those awful things she had to deal with, Asuna was still the exact same person she was during her first appearance. She does nothing but fill the shoes of what many would consider the perfect girlfriend. She is lacking in flaws and devoid of personality. She's just a pretty face who goes through some bad things. I suppose the aim shouldn't even have been developed as her character, but to give her a character in the first place. If you throw a rock into a tornado, it will still remain a rock once it reaches the ground. Among the dozens of other things in the third arc to fight issue with, there is one particular scene that comes to mind. As Asuna and her new friends are fighting to reach the boss room before another group of people, Kirito somehow, conveniently, shows up as a part of their reinforcements. He decides to betray them all for Asuna and her friend's sake, and holds up 20 or so completely on his own. The initial half of the enemy party decides to use healers, and one of Asuna's allies then complains that they're not being fair, as if using healing magic in an MMORPG is somehow a new concept. They manage to win despite being vastly outnumbered, and as Asuna and her party enter the boss room, Kirito, surrounded by flames, makes a peace sign while holding off the horde of enemy players. Somehow I think this scene might feel more appropriate in a teenager's fanfiction. It should also be mentioned how cringeworthy any scene with Yui is, such as when Kirito writes a program so that she can see through the cafe's camera and then hang out with them in reality. Please, she's an annoying NPC, not the daughter of a bloody teenager. If she were to be erased from the entire story, I doubt anyone would complain. And why are Kirito and Asuna so incapable of showing physical affection? They've been dating for 3 years and even made virtual babies with each other in SAO. But in the real world, they do not dare kiss or engage in sexual activities. It makes their relationship feel very weak, superficial. Almost like the author is afraid of fully committing them to one another because it would make Kirito unable to have his harem. The show eliminates any sense of a realistic romantic relationship by attempting to appease both harem and Asuna fans, except in reality it has quite the opposite effect. Those who want to see the relationship between Kirito and Asuna develop will find themselves disappointed, and those who want more of the harem will find themselves even more disappointed. The problem with Kirito's harem, I'm going to say that word differently every time, is that all of its members are there only as eye candy. Even Kirito's bouncy sister. What a fucking descriptor that is. Kirito's bouncy sister. Anyway, this milk is good. Where was I? Is pushed to the side and made irrelevant, despite her receiving so much screen time in the previous season that it seemed things were just about to develop into a love triangle. Nope, all that was for nothing. She and the others all still follow Kirito along, finding themselves jealous whenever he and Asuna share a tender moment. And really, what is the point of them even being there at this point? To remind us they exist so that they can be used in erodojins. Great. Furthering this issue is the show's reluctance to write in male characters that are not raging lunatics or utterly irrelevant. Kirito is the only male in the entire story who ever matters. None of the girls have any interest in Klein or any of the other males. They just fight over Kirito despite the fact that he is already, supposedly, in a relationship. It's not that there's a need to be another male character with his own love interests, given that Sword Art Online is absolutely terrible at writing romance. But the least the show could do is give Klein and the others a bit more attention. Klein exists only as some random dude that tags along with Kirito, and it's a shame because he's a hell of a lot more interesting than Kirito ever was. The last few episodes carry a fair share of emotional weight, but it's quite difficult to care It's quite difficult to care much about what's going on if the entire arc moves at lightning speed. Asuna and Yuki act like they're best friends after only knowing each other for about 2 days, and it's not much longer until Asuna starts rushing to her side in the real world and crying for her sake. Sure, it's pretty hard not to feel sorry for Yuki given how crappy her situation is, but the audience is just thrown into the drama without being given any time to think about what's going on. I'm not the kind of person who believes there is something inherently wrong with shock value, but I mean, for God's sake, the least you could do is give me some reason to be invested in the characters first. It's just melodrama without purpose. The actual fight scenes are thoroughly disappointing. There's no longer any situation where the characters' lives feel at stake. It's a video game and Kirito is incapable of defeat. Most of these are barely longer than 2 minutes anyway. So if you're looking forward to massive boss battles and crazy nonsense from the first season like Kirito's dual-wielding skill, there's none of that here. The show instead spends most of its budget on Sinon's ass. Does Sword Art Online look nice? Sure, and it sounds nice too. But no matter how pretty the scenery or how intense the main battle theme is, it cannot make the unexciting exciting. Unless the music is marred with an appropriate scene, it will achieve nothing if not being awkward. And often the scenes in Sword Art Online feel awkward. All Sword Art Online does is look and sound nice. In this case, the wrapping paper is more exciting than the contents. The show has some issues. I still feel there is much I've missed, and so much more that needs to be said about the series. I tried my best to assort all of my angry groans and rolled eyes into something that actually resembles a proper piece of writing. So if it feels like a massive wall of whining, I apologize. There was a lot to whine about. And no, I don't believe that my standards being too high is a valid rebuttal. Standards are not something that anyone should ever apologize for. It does not matter if a show strives to be some intellectual commentary or just content with being simple-ass entertainment, and Sword Art Online definitely falls on the simple-ass entertainment side of the spectrum. If a show is dumb enough that you can enjoy it by only turning your brain off, then it is not something that is worth your time. There are plenty of entertainment out there that can be enjoyed with brain cells are in use. Some of them are even aimed at children. See Aikatsu, Cardcaptor Sakura, or My Neighbor Totoro. So I don't see much reason to force yourself to enjoy mediocrity when quality is easily available. But if you enjoy Sword Art Online, that's okay too. Be free to watch and enjoy whatever the hell you damn well please. And the people who say you are a lesser person for enjoying mindless entertainment are just as mindless themselves. Sword Art Online definitely has a great deal of appeal among younger folks and MMORPG fans, but please, if you enjoyed the series in any capacity, do yourself a favor and do not conflate your personal enjoyment with critical quality. Fun does not necessarily mean good. It often does. How can we appreciate something we hate watching after all? But in this case, the enjoyability of Sword Art Online has nothing to do with its merit as a story, because it doesn't have any. Sword Art Online is a mess, and it needs some shoveling. Chat, that was 22 minutes. That was 22 minutes. Now, here's the question, chat. Do I read the other ones? This one's got a rating of 4. This one's got a rating of 3. And that one's got a rating of 4. I like this one. Oh, Jesus-kun. Let your humble servants be like the three, O Lord. You got another... Does anyone have any recommendations? Some of these are probably really good, by the way. Any positive ones? No, I don't want to read positive ones. I want to read negative ones. But I also want to read like ironic ones, too. These could be good. These could be good. These could be good, but I'll move on because we just 22 minutes. I got an idea, chat. Let's try Shield Hero. I'm sure that one's got some. I'm sure this one 8.02. There's no way. There's no way this has an 8 on Mal. This show's garbage. All right, let's see. What do we got? Oh, look who it is! No fucking way. No way. It's him again. He's back. Alright. Alright. Let's see. Alright, this is Shield Hero, The Rising of the Shield Hero by Veronin again. Wow. Just look at his reviews. No, I can't do that. Here we go, chat. Are you ready? Tate no Yusha is a thundering disappointment for many fans of the isekai genre, and for those who would not have labeled themselves as such, Tate no Yusha is a testament to their dislike or indifference, being yet another mediocre, soulless title lurching and tossing throughout a tired genre that is swiftly approaching its death throes. In truth, Tate no Yusha doesn't please much of anybody. If there is a reason Tate no Yusha ever stood out in the first place, it is because of the protagonist and the appalling situation he is soon forced into. Though isekai anime taking a turn for the dark are hardly rare, the abject betrayal Naofumi faces is not the treatment one would expect for someone abducted from their world and supposedly rebranded a hero. The corrupt, contemptible society he is forced to fight for is not what you might anticipate from a genre where the setting, the fantasy, is meant to be an escape from the monotony of the real world. Instead, it turns out things in Naofumi's new world may actually be far worse than they ever were in his old one, a fantasy-turned nightmare. The whole twist, I suppose, if you could call it that, was a success in the eyes of many. It turned another forgettable run-of-the-mill anime into something a bit more engaging, and it gave many a reason for the viewers to empathize with Naofumi through joining in his hatred for society and his potential quest for revenge. This is like a very... this is a very Joker-esque society bottom text line. Okay. Where was I? Where these themes were ever fully realized or even handled well, may be a different story entirely. See, Tate no Yusha never actually takes things further than corruption sucks and I'm mad grrr, watch my flames of anger. The king is inherently evil because of a small grudge. Mine is venomous scum. Mine. What? Mine. Let me just make that clear before I finish that sentence. No. I don't know. Maine? Isn't that a state? Where was I? Maine is verminous scum merely because... Oh wait, there's no actual reason. Motoyasu, the spear hero, is a gullible idiot who likes to womanize, and that is all there is behind his punchable little face. Raphtalia is a benevolent Mary Sue who will not utter or even think a bad thought. Her almost immediately and incomprehensibly falling in love with Naofumi, thus existing as waifu material for those who like to rescue their damsels from distress. Philo is pure fodder for lolicons and a relentless annoyance for anyone who is not. The list goes on. The only one who still has potential is the queen, but considering the path the show has trodden thus far, it would be illogical to assume a second season would fare her any better. Oh boy, I bet this guy's watching the second season. Tate no Yusha's characters, though they may initially show promise, are quickly cast aside and made merely to be fan service or vehicles to drive Naofumi's hatred along, however the writer's whims may fancy. Oh, you wanted to see the anime tackle issues surrounding the slave trade, and Naofumi's moral dilemma of having taken part in an evil system yet saving someone as a direct result of it? Sorry, I have disappointing news. Did you want to see the politics? Heck, even geography of the world explored with more than 2 lines of dialogue? Nope, not here. Everything in Tate no Yusha is surface level. It has the facade of maturity, but in reality, it's about as mature as a 1999 Slipknot album. Shield Hero 2's current MAL score is below 7. It's not high. That's why I was surprised to see this is 8.02. Crazy. Any fight scene, no matter how overwhelming and powerful the opponent, can and will be prematurely ended by Naofumi's anger, turning him into Super Saiyan. Whereas animes like JoJo will carefully construct the fights to be based on tactics and cleverness, Tate no Yusha presents nothing except power levels. You can fast forward through any climactic fight scene and have lost little to nothing of value, as all you ever need to know is that Naofumi got angry and won. Sure, there is a degree of self-awareness throughout the show, with characters remarking how this power is essentially him cheating, but when Naofumi attributes all of his success to hard work and yet wins merely because of said mysterious power randomly appearing at the most convenient time, essentially a Deus Machina, you have to wonder what the hell he's even talking about. If all you ever wanted to see was Naofumi take revenge against those who wronged him, then I am sorry to say, but even that will lead you to much disappointment. This right here is the main thing of this entire fucking garbage fire of Shield Hero. I guarantee. On numerous occasions, when he is on the cusp of enacting his long-sought revenge, he takes the high road and proselytizes about how killing a bad person makes you just as bad as them or whatever. The usual tripe you hear from lame, holier-than-thou anime protagonists. Since when is Naofumi ever supposed to be an idealistic person? Hadn't he lost all faith in society, and even in morality itself after what he had experienced? Not only does this betray fans of the first several episodes, but it makes his character an inconsistent and incomprehensible mess. I fucking get this guy. Oh my god, I get this guy so much. Everything he's saying, it's just facts. It's straight up just facts. Oh my god, where was I? He plays hero when it's supposed to sound cool and villain when it's convenient for him. By the time there's actually some sort of retribution for those who wronged him, it is too little too late, a thumbs up and okay cool rather than anything deserving of applause. Tate no Yusha surely and steadily loses its steam as the episodes blindly trudge by, and once its primary theme is lazily cast aside, there is no reason to care about what happens to a world where saving the day and being a hero never meant anything in the first place. So there you go. Another trite isekai anime, popular mostly for its gimmicky nature, masquerading itself as mature merely because it has themes that are darker than usual. There are those who aren't fans of the genre will most likely have trusted their instincts and avoided the show. I failed. Anyway, but for those who will sit on the fence, and even those who generally enjoy these sorts of shows, there's not much to be gained from Tate no Yusha's feckless affairs. It makes me miss the flawed but ambitious Re:Zero, and Re:Zero is not an anime I'd really imagine myself missing all that much. And now I'm out of words because I realize the next one of these, Arifurita, is down the corner just a week's time away with a premise that is almost word for word copy-paste of what is found in Tate no Yusha. It just doesn't end. Alright, I gotta see, what else is this? Give me what is this? Give me everything. Chat, that's Nico, right? Love Live Superstar, give that an 8 out of 10, of course, not surprised. Shirobako movie, Love Live. That's a high rating, Only a 6, okay. Tate no Yusha, that's a 5, yep, I got that one. Re:Zero, it's cold. Alright. Re:Zero, wait, this isn't the main one, is it? This is an OVA. Oh, this is an OVA. I'm not gonna worry about OVAs. Let's see. More reviews. Give me more. Goblin Slayer. Oh, this has a 1. Oh, this has a 1. Okay, Goblin Slayer is 5. Now, I'll read the Goblin Slayer one, but I gotta tell you, I'm actually a fan of Goblin Slayer. So, let's read this one first. I'm actually a fan of Goblin Slayer, personally. So, I might not agree with all this, but let's see it. Let's see. Alright. You ready? So, it looks like Mao reviews have turned into Veronin reviews. Alright, 5 out of 10. Let's see. Another fun little romp through Fantasyland, quest to be ventured, and goal to be reaped, or maybe not quite. Welcome to 2018's most controversial anime, Goblin Slayer. Little known by Western anime fans, it came much out of nowhere with a first episode that made viewers aghast and the social medias ablaze. And why, you may ask? I will have to leave that unanswered for a moment, as you should not yet be reading this review if you are unfamiliar with what scene I am referring to. But I will leave a word of caution. You should probably not watch Goblin Slayer if you are easily disturbed. The first episode, I don't know why the first episode exists. Spoilers of the first episode necessarily will follow. What transpires in the first episode overshadowing everything that comes from the following 11 episodes. And so, review will be centered around primarily the first episode and its resulting controversy. Though we'll be discussing the artistic merits of the anime as a whole, much more of a critical analysis of its response, and answer of sorts to whether the controversy Goblin Slayer brewed ever had any meaning in the first place. And I will tell you, no, it really did not. I got baited. From the second episode onward, a viewer discretion warning appears in the subtitles provided by Crunchyroll, but nowhere does it appear from the show itself. In Japanese, it is quite clear who was actually offended by this show, and it was not the Japanese audience for whom this anime was made. I'm going to be blunt, as this perception that Westerners view as always unquestionably important is bothersome. Japanese anime studios do not care what English-speaking YouTubers have to say. Facts! Facts! F-A-C-T-S! Facts! For they cannot even understand them in the first place. This man spits. They do not care about Tumblr, nor do they care about anyone except viewers in Japan who could potentially buy Blu-ray discs for their series. They are companies, not political organizations. They are from Japan, not from the United States. The only thing the West could do to make an anime studio utter more than a flippant oops sorry is to have a spot on CNN or some other giant television network in the same vein as the infamous... I'm not reading that. I know what that game's banned on Twitch. So unfortunately, if you think yourself a sort of champion of justice, destined to rid the world of all portrayals or even mentions of rape in countries you have never even visited or which you do not share your beliefs, then sorry to say your words have fallen upon deaf ears. You can't say the name of games that are banned on the platform, by the way. It's dangerous. So you can't be doing that. I can't even mention the simulator game, you know the one. All right. If you have ever played a visual novel, read adult-oriented manga, or watched an R18 anime, not me, by the way, not me. I'm good. I'm a good kid. And the Japanese audience for Goblin Slayer most certainly has. And sexual assault, as vile and irredeemable an act as it is not particularly unusual or shocking. I suppose it may be shocking in the context of Goblin Slayer being a TV anime, in which these sorts of acts are seldom depicted. But you also have to keep in mind that Goblin Slayer airs past midnight on a weekend, while into the usual watershed hours of Western television. Kids are not meant to be watching this in the first place. Sexual assault is not a rare in late-night anime so much because it is going overboard, but because the anime community in Japan is obsessed with the concept of virginity and does not take kindly to their imaginary characters being touched by a man other than them. Hence the reason for why sex is not so much as mentioned in non-erotic anime, whether it be consensual or not. If sex is not graphically depicted, i.e. genitals showing and thrust, then it is, generally speaking, safe to air past midnight on Japanese television. Goblin Slayer's now infamous scene, unpleasant as it is to watch, was not especially graphic. It did not black out and fast forward as most animes on anime do. And so while the scene is not entirely innocent, true, it is difficult to not feel at least a little bit sick to the stomach. It is hardly the traumatic viewing experience that some claim it to be. Say, for example, 13 Reasons Why. A Western Netflix series was far, far more graphic in its depiction of similar subjects, and yet it was extremely popular among Western teenagers, particularly females. But when an obscure late-night anime aimed at a completely different culture and with drawings instead of real actors tried to tread the same waters, take it down! Take it all down! They say, right. Good luck with that one. I understand. Is Summer and Kagura banned? I don't know. I don't think so because I just said it. It might be. Where am I? I suppose the deeper question then is whether these scenes were actually necessary. I highly doubt these scenes were meant to be erotic, to arouse its viewers who were preceded by a brutal stabbing and a brutal massacre. The attempted rape that follows the first is abominable. Enough that it defies any and all human logic, clearly meant to invoke deep feelings of hatred for goblins rather than a boner pop and a, oh yeah baby, show me more. He is right about one thing. The first episode, I don't watch it anymore because I just don't need it, but the first episode is supposed to the first episode of Goblin Slayer is supposed to set up the goblins of the world and why they are as, like, you know, why they are as vile creatures as they want you to see. The manga is worse. Yes, that's true. The manga is way worse it shows more. The anime basically stopped showing anything after the first episode, whereas the manga still has bits and pieces that are like, yeah, check out these goblins. Yeah, they're terrible. You should root for Goblin Slayer. He's the hero. It is a tone setter, yeah. It's a tone setter. Where was I? Goblin Slayer showed these scenes to create a sense of danger and to make you root for the titular slaying of said goblins. And fair enough, but equally fair is the question of why they chose rape in particular, rather than some other wretched act that would make you want to see goblin heads hitting the floor. Hatred was necessary for the story to continue, but not so much rape itself. My guess is the author chose that route because other fantasy series such as Phase Zero have already done the same with violence alone. The author wanted to set their series apart, to evoke a sort of hatred that anime-only viewers have rarely or perhaps never experienced before. And while the result is that it laid bare for all to see, angry Westerners and Japanese fans who just want to see some dead-ass goblins. Summer and Kagura games are not banned. Okay, I figured as much since they're on, like, some of those games are on Switch. There's no way they're banned. But, like, if you look at the games that are banned on Twitch, it's not surprising which ones you'll see. It is not so much from an artistic perspective that I'm defending the author's choice. However, gratuitous and pretentious it is when what follows is the later episodes is of little importance and does not in any meaningful way make use of the hatred instilled in the audience. Rather, it returns to the exact same silly and carefree tone the anime's opening few minutes. As if what happened in the first episode was just some sort of dream. Heck, the second episode may as well have been the beginning episode, the first completely obliterated from existence, and little would change at all in regards to the story and the characters. I actually agree with him on this as well. So, the whole point of the first episode is to set the tone, but then as soon as you finish that episode, everything after doesn't matter anymore. Like, the first episode works for the manga because there's more, I wouldn't say explicit, but there's more shown in the manga. But, like, in the anime, it's definitely, it does the first episode as, like, a big, shock value, get the attention, and then it continues down the line of being fine. Like, it's still kill goblins, yeah, testosterone override, but the first episode doesn't really do anything with everything it built up, which, for the most part, is fine, because in the manga, it does. Like, if you're interested in the manga Goblin Slayer is quite good. It has a few more gratuitous moments, but nothing, like, crazy, I suppose? But there's a little more there. Where am I? I lost where I was. Chat, I forgot where I was. Where was I? I got lost here, hold on. Second episode, beginning the first fleet of existence, little would change all regards to story character. Goblin Slayer does not contain much in the way of themes other than goblins suck and revenge begets revenge. And the trauma the heroine experienced during the first encounter is hardly touched upon or even acknowledged afterwards. Indeed, after an experience that horrifying, you would expect the heroine to, if nothing else, be apprehensive about another goblin slaying adventure. But by the next day, she gives almost zero damns and throws herself to the protagonist's side merely because he is tough and can protect her, I guess. A bit of an idiot, indeed. Other characters will casually talk about their traumatic experiences as the camera pans lustfully over their breasts, almost if it is a joke, making it pretty clear the anime has no intention of taking these issues seriously. How are you supposed to care for characters you don't even know how to care about themselves? In the end, the main thing that sets the rest of the anime, everything sans the first episode, apart from other fantasy series, is the level of blood involved. Goblin Slayer is a strong dude. The heroine is cute. And screw goblins. There you go. Goblin Slayer's deep themes interpreted by yours truly. He's not wrong. He's not wrong. I'm going to say I'm a fan of Goblin Slayer because I enjoy just watching a dude who's essentially decked out in level 1 gear, LARPing as like a fucking Dark Souls character, just killing goblins. It's that simplicity. Like, I'm not looking for a deeper story. I just like watching the way he fights goblins. I think it's cool. I think it's cool when the way he fights goblins and how he's so aware of how goblins like live and fight themselves. The ultimate male fantasy. Where was I? If a darker fantasy anime in the lieu of Berserk is something you were clamoring for as well, there are really not a whole lot of them, then Goblin Slayer is, if nothing else, a serviceable adventure. The titular protagonist, Goblin Slayer, is essentially a more calm and composed version of Guts from Berserk. Attached turn, a dark past, filled with hatred and desire for vengeance, armor and all, albeit with a sword a size that humans can actually wield. His cold but logical manner of speaking are refreshing in a genre that is largely defined by self-righteous protagonists spouting idealistic nonsense. I agree with that too. I like Goblin Slayer's character. He just doesn't really, he's very simple. He's a very simple character. Goblin Slayer will save whom he can, but he's also capable of recognizing the limits of his power and putting those with mortal wounds out of their misery. He knows that fighting requires planning and a clear head just as much as it requires strength. An eye for an eye or tooth for a tooth is his way of living. He does not try to moralize his lifestyle, instead believing that his endless lust for revenge makes him just as violent and as brutal as the goblins themselves. He has a sort of awareness and intellect that most anime protagonists lack, which makes the desolate world he lives in feel just a bit more authentic. But those who are not a fan of darker or more morally ambiguous protagonists will only find the anime more unappealing with his presence. Edgy, pretentious, others might say, considering that one's enjoyment of Goblin Slayer is almost entirely decided by their interest in the protagonist, and consequently his goblin slaying journey. Those who do not find this sort of characters appealing are well within their rights to dislike the anime as a whole. But to say he is dark merely for the sake of being dark would be something of a lie. No, he is dark because he grew up in an awful world with rapey, murderous goblins. Yeah. That's a good reason to be angry at the world. Considering the natural path for most fantasy anime, it's to gradually hunt stronger and stronger monsters. The fact that Goblin Slayer is perpetually chasing weaker monsters, goblins, and even being ostracized for it by his fellow adventurers is a refreshing change of pace for a genre that is often so predictable that you can already guess the events of the final episode based on the first. Sure, those in search of a climactic fights may find themselves bored with an adventure that stays at largely the same difficulty level for its entire duration, with the rare boss battle here and there. But then again, how many times does one need to see a big bad dude or a dragon slain before they are satisfied? While most anime increase the stakes as the opponents get stronger, Goblin Slayer is able to portray weak little creatures as menacing, something few anime do. Slimes and goblins brushed aside as if it was a necessity. The issue is that Goblin Slayer, despite it having a clear singular focus with goblins as the villain, never really does or say a whole lot with them. They're almost entirely identical to one another, existing to rape, kill, or be killed, or little else. When the antagonist of a story lacks a motive and a personality, it's kind of hard to care about where things go in the end. Goblin Slayer is neither horrible, nor is it great, and sometimes it is both. Putting aside all the noise surrounding the series, it's looking at its piece of fiction like any other. It's merely a decent dark fantasy anime. Its artistic merit is hardly comparable to its big brother Berserk, and while there are very severe issues afflicting the show in a season where truly abysmal, irredeemable rubbish such as Oregasuki Nanoe Emoto Dakiro Emoto Janai has aired, I'm pretty sure that's the one that he gave a 1, so we'll see. Goblin Slayer is not what I would consider a bad anime. There's enough of interest here with the protagonist and the setting that I am not at least consider reading the light novels in Japan, but perhaps things are a bit better explained. Those regarding Goblin Slayer as the worst anime they've ever seen are more likely than not fishing for attention by exaggerating their opinions as much as possible. Either that or they've just not watched a whole lot of anime, I would have to guess. But to say I'm a fan of Goblin Slayer or that I even liked it would be as dishonest as saying I hated it. My defense of Goblin Slayer is my defense of the author's right to artistic freedom. Being offended by the show is reasonable. Using said offense to try and shut down an author's livelihood or to generalize an entire country of 130 million people as perverts or as morally bankrupt is not. Some may even say it is despicable, and I think there is some truth to that. So feel free to watch Goblin Slayer if you enjoy dark fantasy and have a tolerance for uncomfortable content. Or skip it, because truth be told, Goblin Slayer was never really worth caring that much about in the first place. He's right. 5 out of 10. I agree with that. I agree with almost everything he said there. Pretty much everything he said there. I think he put his points down well. Yeah, Goblin Slayer isn't really anything crazy. I mean, it has a lot of neat things that it goes for. I'm personally a fan of the fact that, like, it's just kind of about a dude who slays goblins, right? The title says it all. The title says it all. The title says it all. You get what you pay for. So I can I feel that. So this one I want to see. A 1. He gave this one a 1. Oregasuki nano 4.88? Holy shit. Oh, that is so low. Aspiring light novel author Yu Nagami regularly enters writing competitions but has yet to win a single one. Despite his recurring failures, he remains steadfast in his resolve to become a better writer. When he takes a look at the list of winning offers, the latest contest he joined, he notices someone named Shikai Towano dominated the competition. He soon discovers that beyond the pen name is his sister Suzuka, the last person he could imagine being an author. Suzuka cannot reveal to anyone that she is Shikai Towano and requests her brother to take her place. He agrees on one condition: he will continue posing as Shikai's sister until he publishes his own book. Until that happens, he uses new identity as a post. Opportunity to improve his writing skills, meet fellow authors, new acquaintances along the way. Okay. My sister, my writer. Alright. Alright, here we go, chat. Over the past 10 years of watching anime, there have been hundreds of stinkers. Truly dreadful shows that have tested my tolerance to its utmost limits. But gee, I think we found the stinker of all stinkers with this one. That is to say, Oregasuki nano e moto dakiro imoto jinai, or however the hell you're supposed to abbreviate this dumb title, is the worst TV anime I've ever seen. Yes, number 1, and without any hyperbole intended, it doesn't get any uglier than this, and I do mean so literally as well as figuratively. Let me showcase the amazing dialogue with one of the show's finer moments. He did indeed watch every episode. You can't write a review until you've seen every episode, because then you won't know what you're talking about, right? Would you trust a review written by somebody who's watched one episode or somebody who's watched all episodes? Come on now. Yes, I'm the up-and-coming author, Enryu Homura. So hard he is practically dying. Okay, I can do that. I don't. Yes, good enough. I'm a huge fan. Please give me your autograph. You're a fan? A fan of my? This is humiliating. I'm the one who wants an autograph. Hey, what do you mean you want my autograph? Are you even listening to me? I want your autograph. You want my autograph? But why? Isn't it obvious? I'm a huge fan of yours, Tawano. What? Oh, there is plenty more deeply intelligent, riveting content, such as the 5-minute discussion on what it means to flash one's panties, the protagonist dressed in bondage clothing and whipped by his little sister until the crack of dawn, him sniffing and fondling his sister's hair during a live radio interview, or some random girl the protagonist has only known for about 2 days cosplayed in his bedroom to test what it does not make him pop a boner because apparently that's relevant to writing fiction. What? I should have got the alcohol out for this. Jesus Christ. That entire sentence was too much. That was too much. That was hard to take in. Okay. Where she even got her cosplay outfit is a mystery only the heavens can unfold, because really, who in the hell carries around a succubus outfit for no reason? At long last, an occasion has presented itself for me to wear the succubus outfit I've carried around all these years. Perhaps she cast some incantation to summon it from the abyss. Who knows? Whatever. Now, I'm going to stop you right there, Mr. Reviewer, and say one thing. First of all, there's no way she's carrying that succubus outfit around all these years, because these characters are most 100% certainty between the ages of 15 to 17, alright? Which means their bodies grow. There's no way they bought the succubus outfit when they were like 14 years old and it still fits them 3 years later. There's no way. Unless they bought a bigger size because they were predicting this day. In which case, that's bullshit too. 10 to 20, by the way. 10 to 20. Give them the old Sakuya, the Sakuya age rating, between 10 to 20. It's like a scale measurement. Alright. Every asinine, ludicrous trope a light novel adaptation could possibly have, yes, even in 2018 apparently, is present here. The obligatory beach scene, complete with lewd lotion lathering, girls screaming at you, the protagonist, for walking in on them changing clothes, an unnecessary harem, and like its mouth-breathing brother, Infinite Stratos. All members of said harem are for some reason attracted to the protagonist despite him having the same level of appeal as a cockroach. I don't even want to refer to the protagonist by his name, since he doesn't deserve the honor of having one. So actually, in the unfortunate event that I must discuss the show again, he will remain the protagonist. That sounds a lot better, sort of like I've rinsed my mouth of bacteria. Oh man. Mouth-breathing brother. I present a challenge. Try watching an entire episode of this show without shuddering or saying ugh in response to the hideous faces the characters make. It's a bit of a difficult one, alright. Whereas many poorly animated TV series are infamous for a few particular screenshots, eye cancer here and there, say Naruto Shippuden, here it is that, but all the time. It is so bad that sometimes the characters' eyes are not even aligned and instead are facing opposite directions, as if they are truly and completely mentally void or are just ant people. Even a climactic confession scene is brimming with ant people for your viewing pleasures. I want to see a screenshot of that. What is this called? Hold on. Let me see if I can find a screenshot to show you, chat. My Google history search is gonna die for you. My sister, my writer, cry for help. Quality anime. Quality anime, my sister, my writer sends hidden cry for help in closing credits. What? Oh shit, that was it. Hold on, that's in the review. Hold on, I gotta keep reading. Hold on. Where is it? The music, can you call it that? ABAB random. Senseless notes play repetitively on a piano like a kindergartner who discovered a piano for the first time and thinks any noise makes it special. It makes it special. Wow, you're so good, says Mommy. Clap, clap. Why they even bothered to include these tracks is a wonder, considering how much less ear-piercing some good old silence would have been instead. No, having music for the sake of having music is not always a good idea, but when has anime ever shown itself capable of good ideas anyway? All that is even remotely tolerable about this giant turd of an anime is its opening and ending themes, mostly for the music, and definitely not for the putrid animation, but rather for the lack of it since the sequences are essentially slideshows. Anytime things start moving is when things get real ugly, and so I can only be thankful for the few seconds where the damn show doesn't move. It is pretty well remarkable how much of a disaster the production process of this anime has been. Even the animators recognize the abysmal state of their anime, with their subtle cry for help in the ending credits of the 6th episode, where they changed one of the names to whatever that it says, which can be translated as, honestly, we're in a bit of a mess. Holy shit. Wow. This is perhaps unprecedented for TV anime. Though I do not know the actual situation at the anime studio, it is pretty clear the animators were both understaffed and forced into impossible deadlines, and thus had to cut corners, all of them, to meet said deadlines, because really there is no sane person on this planet who would look at the animation and think, yep, this is totally good to go for broadcast. Even the most terrible anime at least puts some semblance of effort into covering up their blemishes. Here, it's in its full, putrid glory. And so, Oregasuki nano aremoto dakedo imoto jenai will be remembered by those unfortunate enough to watch it. It is an anime that truly goes for it, being as dreadful as possible in every and all aspects. Maybe that's why there's only 10 episodes instead of 12. I can't even find the energy to lambaste it to the extent I did with my previously most hated anime, Infinite Stratos 2. For in this case, it is so pathetic it actually transcends words, the worst TV anime I've ever endured, and congratulations for that, as it was not an easy feat. Like a train that has tipped over and burst into flames and debris, this is something you would be best not to approach, but a hazard warning on this one. Okay, hold on. Okay. Wow. My writer, my sister screenshot. I need to see a picture. Not video. A screenshot of abysmal animation. Let me see. Let me see. I'm looking. I saw one that was pretty good. I was looking for one that was even worse. Wow. Wow. Hold on, maybe it is. Let's see. Holy shit. Do I got another one in here? Give me another one. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh. Oh, Jesus. Okay, hold on. I saw this one. There's no way. There's no way this is a real no. There's just no fucking way. There's just no way. Give me that image. Give me that image. Load. Load. Give me that image. No. Give me the fucking image. Give me that. I can see it. Oh, that's not good. Where? This is real. This is real. This is real. Holy shit. Holy shit. Oh my, there can't be a worse one than that, right? There can't, I'm looking, hold on. There might actually be a worse one than that. Nope, nope, nope. No, you know what? That was the worst one. That was the worst one. Okay. That was terrible. I regret my existence right now. That's so good. That's so good. That's so good. Okay. All right. Amazing. What else we got? Let's see. Free Dive. That's third season. Made in Abyss. Made in Abyss I hear is good. Hajime no Gal. Ooh. And there's Aomaga. Aomaga Sensei got a better rating. 6.29. Anyone know this show? My First Girlfriend is a Gal. Following a prank pulled by his perverse friends, Junichi Hashiba asks a gal out in an attempt to change the fact that he is a hopeless virgin. Yukana Ayame, the girl in question, is disgusted by Junichi's groveling. However, through a series of teasing remarks, she soon finds herself bonding with him and ultimately accepting Junichi's confession, much to his surprise. Hajime no Gal follows Junichi as he overcomes his lack of self-confidence and suppresses his sexual urges, all while thrust into a whole new world of school life full of lively girls and unpredictable mayhem. Yep, we have such characters as Gal without a tan, Gal with a tan, girl. Good cast of characters we got here. All right. Well, we're here for this one. This one's got a higher rating. But this review was done on my birthday, so it's gotta be good. At 11:04 p.m. Permalink. Alright. What were those sizes? Don't worry about it. Alright. Haven't you ever put balloons in your outfit before? Come on now. Hajime no Gal is a perfect representation of the anime industry tirelessly manufactures vapid, harem, twaddle, devoid of spirit, and interested solely in selling Blu-rays to wide-eyed otaku who think seeing uncensored anime panties is a wonderful way to spend 5,000 yen. The reality is that Hajime no Gal is worth less than a meal at Matsuya. How much is a meal at Matsuya? Sushi Matsuya menu prices. You can get chicken fried rice for $12.99. That's pretty good. Gyoza appetizer $6.50. It's fine. Picked for me salad and soup, kitchen entree, sushi. Fresh tuna. Fresh tuna is only $6.95. Jesus Christ. Rice bowl. That's pretty expensive though. Desserts, combinations. Wow. Oh, there's the makis. Oh, $7.50 for tuna maki. That's pretty good, actually. Probably 6 pieces, I assume. Anyway, I'm getting, like, hella sidetracked here. Just trying to figure that out. Alright. The difference between a harem anime that is well received versus one that is not is that the popular ones tend to have a certain level of craftsmanship. They look nice, particularly when focusing on the curvature of the female cast, and the catchy openings and voice acting to drive the senses a wild. If one was looking simply for some cheap mass-produced masturbation fodder, why not? After all, just watch some hentai, as the boys in the West call it, instead. Any boys in the West can confirm? My people! My boys! Me and the boys! Hajime no Gal begs that question repeatedly. It is deeply uncertain about whether it wants to be a serious romance or a flat-out pornography, and so it attempts to be both, and thus it fails to an almost astounding level. Repeatedly, often more times in a single episode that can be counted with one hand, the anime will showcase the excessively censored fantasies of Junichi, the worthless protagonist, where a Yame, not Yamame, let's get this correct here, this is not Yamame, and other members of the obligatory harem trope force themselves on him sexually, begging for sex in the middle of a classroom, a karaoke booth, or some other absurd location that few would ever consider a good idea. Of course, this exists because the anime does not have the courage to legitimately have sexual relationships portrayed within the show, and of course it leverages these scenes as an excuse to sell more Blu-ray copies to sexless otaku who have never walked into an R18 store before. Why was this show just, I don't know. But because they can eat, it's easier to sell. It's easier to sell 12 episodes on Blu-ray because Blu-rays box sets tend to have like 2 episodes per disc. It's fucking pricey. That shit is insane. And also, Blu-ray discs come with the benefit of being uncensored from the television anime part, which means any 17 up rated anime you watch on TV will have mysterious anti-horny lights covering the nipples. But if you spend 5,000 yen and get the Blu-ray, you can remove that unholy light and you can get your sick nipples. You can get your sick 26 frames of nipple. And then, but you'll also be down 5,000 yen. Anyway, where was I? The romance of Hajime and Ogao may as well be non-existent, as Yame, I'm not even going to call her Yam, nope. Yame and the rest of the female cast never give a single reason for why they are interested in Junichi, much less so why they crave his penis. What a fucking line that is. Why do they crave penis? Yame agrees to go out with him, presumably because she finds him fun to tease, but then blushes like a 10-year-old at the idea of a kiss. What? I'm sorry, but if you're going to sell an anime on the basis of it having a cast of gal characters, the gal trend being defined by promiscuity, then they should actually be such. If you wish to portray a story with toddlers who think indirect kisses are a thing, and good lord, this show has that aplenty, then please look at KyoAni's Shunibyo for inspiration instead of hardcore pornography. Oh my god. Junichi makes Ichika from Infinite Stratos and Rito from To Love Root seem tolerable by comparison. He is a spineless loser whose only goal in life is to lose his virginity, as if anyone in Japan these days actually cares if a high school student hasn't had sex. Yet when presented with an opportunity to have sex, cowers like a baby or imposes self-righteousness upon them as if he is now somehow above having sex despite his constant pathetic attempts at such for the entire series. His friends poke fun at how he might be a cuckold, but in reality he is the embodiment of one, doing nothing when she sees another man hit on his supposed girlfriend, later throwing a tantrum about how worthless he is and how she deserves that man instead, only to get jealous when he later sees them talking to each other. Whining about how pathetic you are is not an attractive feature, and Yame and crew would do little to leave him aside until he grows up and grows a pair. Something unlikely to happen in the event of future seasons. Let us hope such events never come to pass. This guy doesn't like Infinite Stratos. I can't wait to get to that review. That review changed his writing style. The rest of the cast is also comprised of cretinous wastes of space who do nothing to enhance the quality of the show or make it any less infuriating. You have Nene, the obligatory childhood friend character, massive, and frankly impossibly so, breasts included, who refers to Junichi as Oni-chan. God, that felt... Ugh. Ugh. I was not built to say that word. And of course, disregards despite her sex appeal and constant advances because, hey, treating your old friends like trash is a cool thing for anime protagonists to do. Other additions include Yui, I had to look up her name as I couldn't remember it, who is conveniently a lewd Nico Doga streamer despite her rich, flawless behavior at school, and Ranko, her name being a pun on the Japanese word for gangbangs, whose only purpose in the anime is to beat people up, yell at Junichi, and attempt to force sex upon him, sometimes both occurring simultaneously. Finally, there's Yame, aforementioned male friend, a cackling douchebag and dreadful antagonist who behaves in no way resembling an actual human being, and Junichi's 3 pathetic friends who do little else but act jealous towards him and follow him around in the event that one of his harem members might as so much as glance in their direction. If the only thing defining these kids and keeping their friendship together is their virginity, then hey, Maybe they were never actually friends in the first place. Thankfully, there are only 10 episodes, presumably because they used so many tropes they no longer had any cards left to pull from the hat. Onsen scenes, beach scenes, where the protagonist lathers lotion onto the girls, you name it. All the asinine trash the anime industry loves is here for your eyes and ears to feast upon. Hooray! Yahoo! Hajime Te no Gal looks cheap and sounds cheap. None of the fantasy scenes are arousing in any way, nor are the obscure panty shots the show is so desperately marketing. It has about the same production quality as the average pornographic anime, which makes it wonder why it couldn't have just been such instead. Even with the decreased characterization and a story a pornographic format would have involved, it would still have been a better anime. At least that might have actually be more transparent and honest with itself. I'm going to be quite blunt, Hajime Te no Gal sucks. It is not quite abysmal, nor does it win the award of worst harem anime. Infinite Stratos is still a bit more egregious, but it still sucks. Don't watch things that suck. This man hates Infinite Stratos. Hates it. Oh my god. Next up, we have Ero Manga Sensei. A 3 out of 10. Now, I'm sure everybody knows this one. 1 year ago, Sagiri Izumi became step-siblings with Masamune Izumi, but the sudden death of their parents tears their new family apart, resulting in Sagiri becoming a shut-in who cut off her own brother in society. While caring for her, what's left of his family, Masamune earns a living as a published light novel author with one small problem. He never actually met his acclaimed illustrator, Ero Manga Sensei, infamous for drawing mostly lewd erotica. Though an embarrassing chain of events, he learns that his very own little sister was his partner the whole time. As new characters and challenges appear, Masamune and Sagiri must now face the light novel industry together. Ero Manga Sensei follows the development of their relationship and their struggle to become successful, and as Sagiri slowly grows out of her shell, just how long will she be able to hide her true persona from the rest of the world? Now, I remember hearing that the writer of this series, when his sister found out about it, she cut off all communications with him. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's true or not. I enjoy this person's reviews quite a lot, by the way. This motherfucker gave it an 8 out of 10. Whoa! Whoa! Look at those positive reinforcements. Damn! I gotta wonder what that is. It's something about hating on things because of group pressure and bandwagoning. I'm not here for him though. I'm here for Nico. Share with me everything, Nico. Share with me. I can't read that. No. I can tell by the first sentence he's going to talk about how people don't like it because they were told they shouldn't like it and not because they actually watched it. It's actually really deep and meaningful. You can just tell by the way they word that opening paragraph. All right. Here we go. For better or for worse, mostly worse, Ero Manga Sensei is the successor to Orimo in its themes of sister banging. See what I mean? You see what I mean? This is the good shit. This one up here is like, look at that. Publicly hate on, community, sick of group pressure, bandwagoning, and immediately he just goes for the fucking jugular. The fucking jugular. Right away. Baba boom. Baba boom. No playing. There's no games to be played here. But where Orimo had some interesting things to say about the otaku community, Ero Manga Sensei possesses nothing and is nothing. Puerile. What is that word? Puerile. Hold on. Puerile. Childishly silly and trivial.
Puerile.
Puerile. That's not how it's spelled at all, but alright. Puerile and creatively bankrupt. Ero Manga Sensei in many ways represents everything that is bad with light novels. It is a story, I guess if we put aside its flagrantly incestual nature, of a group of 12 to 15-year-olds who are famous artists. Get the Sakuya scale out, chat. Get the Sakuya scale out. 10-20, 10-20. Who are famous artists as if adults do not and cannot exist. If Ero Manga Sensei was taking inspiration from the scribbles of a bunch of middle school students, its rubbish writing would actually make a great deal of sense. 10 to 20. 10 to 20. Stop me if you've heard this one before. Alright. The protagonist and a sexy lady. You're done. You're done. I gotta get a drink. Alright, I'm back. He said stop if I heard it before. It was a good time to stop. Shit, I forgot to turn my light out. Hold on. I'm gonna take a dumbbell out of my backpack too. God damn it. Alright. No, I just got water. No alcohol. Although I feel like some of these reviews, this would be a good segment for alcohol, huh? Alright, where am I? The protagonist and the sexy lady, both being inexperienced in the affairs of love, try to imitate romantic situations with one another as a source of creative inspiration. No? How about the protagonist's rival conveniently being revealed as a cute girl who is desperately in love with him? Or the heroine angrily retreats to her room and screams "Baka" as the camera pans away. See, Eromanga Sensei isn't an anime that is particularly concerned with sharing anything you haven't already seen in dozens of hundreds of other equally brain-dead romantic comedies. And seriously, if I have to watch another anime with a hikikomori heroine who is portrayed as some sort of goddess of attraction, I'm going to have an aneurysm. Alright. I suppose the difference here is that Eromanga Sensei is neither romantic nor comedic. It sure as hell is not funny unless you are the type who thinks burping is the pinnacle of comedic genius, and its romance is merely a thin-veiled attempt to make it seem somewhat less like masturbation fodder. Fodder which, by the way, has a regularly sexualized heroine who is only 12 years old. Let that sink in for a second. 12 years old. She is 12. And the anime frequently displays detailed shots of her ass, her panties, her naked body, and so forth. And even thinks it is amusing to have her friend, who is the same age by the way, howling about how she loves penises. Yes, really. That's anime! Even if lolicon pornography does not bother you, it would be an impossible task to claim this contributes to the story or the characters in any meaningful way. It actively sabotages whatever emotional value it tries to create between Sagiri and Masamune's relationship, and it makes it impossible to take seriously anything that happens or could conceivably happen. For example, the anime will reveal Masamune's tragic past in the span of about 1 minute, and then immediately open the next episode with a girl clad in her bikini and flirting with him. Eromanga Sensei doesn't even do the incest part right, since it is more concerned with creating some periphery harem for Masamune that's developing his feelings for Sagiri beyond, hey, I like you lol. It is stupid on the levels of Konosuba, and yet has the audacity to pretend without a hint of sarcasm that it is some touching story. No. It is actually a fairly sad result when compared to the author's previous work, Orimo. Wait a minute, are you telling me that this Eromanga Sensei was made? You're kidding. Motherfucker, you didn't learn your lesson. It's the same. I saw these 3 characters and I was like, what the fuck? I was like, am I on the wrong page? Are you telling me that this guy made Orimo, fucked it up, and then he made a show based on the creation of Orimo, of the same premise, and fucked it up even harder? Oh. I thought when he said successor to Orimo, he meant like, it was just like another show like Orimo. I had no idea it was the same guy. Oh my god. Oh no. Orimo, flawed and infuriating as it was, actually put a great deal of time into making Kirino and Kyosuke's feelings for one another feel meaningful. Kirino was no doubt insufferable, but by the end you could at least look at her as something more than an assortment of tropes and incest appeal. Likewise, it also went into a fair amount of detail with regards to the life of a stereotypical otaku. It represented comiket, eroge, offline meanings, and the conflict people can have when they possess hobbies they are ashamed of. It was no Genshikan, but Orimo did at least try to contribute something to the industry with more appeal than, well, gee, banging your sister sounds like a fun idea. The same cannot be said for Eromanga Sensei, which does and says nothing about the industry. Any moment when it does display the struggles of Masamune's career, it is extremely unbearably dull and often propelled by silly plot devices like one of his love interests offering all their royalties in return for Masamune becoming their slave. The whole premise of being a light novel author is an accessory that may as well not even exist. If you stripped all the fan service away, all that would be exposed is the show's unsightly skeleton. I can't think of any situation where Eromanga Sensei could come as a recommendation. It is asinine dreck. without so much as a modicum of creativity. I suppose its colorful art and catchy opening animation may lead some people into thinking the anime is more than it truly is, but to be honest, the sole reason anyone likes this show is because they want to bone the 12-year-old heroine. Now, how much merit is there in a story like that? I'd wager not a whole lot. Meanwhile, this show is really good. Really good bandwagon. I am so curious about this review because these two reviews came out on the same day. 8:46 a.m., 12:06 p.m. 4 hours apart. 4 hours apart, these two reviews came out. This one has 1,980 specifically more reviews helpful than this one. And this one is definitely, oh my god. Someone's based here. Who could it be? How big is this? Motherfucker. That's so long. Do I have to? Chat, do I have to? Do I have to read it? Do I have to? We're reading low score reviews. No, hold on. Hold on, but I also said sarcastically high reviews, but I don't think this one is sarcastic. All right, you know what? We're gonna pass. We're gonna pass on this. Whatever this guy's saying, I'm not looking for it. We got Shingeki no Kyojin 2. Chat, do you consider a 6 high? Or would you consider it... What do you consider a low review? Anything below a 7? Or anything below a 6? 5 or lower? Below 5? Well, I'd say 5 is fine. 5 itself is fine. Okay, we'll skip 6s then. We'll skip 6s. Anything under 6. More reviews. Give me more reviews. Gatsu no Lion. I watched that. I don't know anything about Shogi though. Kono, he gave it a 6. Damn, he gave Konosuba Season 2 a 6? Suddenly you're not based anymore. No, it's fine. I know some people who absolutely despise Konosuba. Nothing wrong with that. Carry on. To be based, one must accept the moments they are cringe. What's this? I like this first line. Is one of your most cherished things in life includes big breast anime chicks. Who's Alright, I'm reading that. I'm reading that. What is this? The anime follows a salaryman who has a chance meeting with a girl eye on the train. It begins every meet on Monday on the train. A man serving as her bodyguard and a crowd commute while they chat. Gazongas, huh? If one of your most cherished things in life includes big-breasted anime chicks whose gazongas defy physics and regularly burst out of their bra for no conceivable reason, why have I got an anime for you? That's Getsuyobi no Tawawa, and it's also heartwarming and not completely terrible. It's perhaps just secondary to the visual feast. I find myself in a conflicting position, as while I am a healthy adult male who enjoys healthy adult male things, I am also bothered by media that contains these things without good reason, or any reason for that matter. A story about a model? Fine. Flat-out pornography? Also fine. Contrived sexual situations that would never ever occur in reality? Not so fine. Getsuyobi no Tawawa seems to think its viewers are so lacking in an attention span that they cannot even complete a 3-minute episode without the heroine's breasts hitting a dude in the face or bursting through their shirt every 30 seconds or so. The main heroine is so lacking in other qualities that she is known merely as Ai-chan, so named after her colossal cup size. It is as the show just surrenders to the notion that the anime is synonymous with these tropes and is incapable of being interesting without. If it were deliberately trying to be sexy or pornographic, there would be little issue, but instead it attempts to be cute and heartwarming, and so it is, and therein lies the problem. Little about Getsuyobi no Tawawa's story makes it seem like a typical ecchi anime. It develops the relationship between the protagonist and their respective heroine in a fairly cute, innocent way, even if there may be a lot of sexual tension along the way. Every character within the anime is genuinely kind and decent person, and is palpably clear that they have feelings for the other with regards to more than just their body. It feels less an ecchi anime and more romance. If it were longer, they could possibly become more of a reality, a feeling. but as it stands, it is a confused story, unaware of its potentials, unsure of what it wants to be. I can appreciate how the anime deals with primarily adult characters. It illustrates the tedium of the salaryman, their life being dull and tiring enough that merely having a cute girl talk to them on the train every week is enough to make one happy. It understandably does not go much into depth with regard to their working life, aside from the occasional after-work drinking. But giving the audience a glimpse into their life as something to identify with still does a lot of making the romance more meaningful than all the impromptu brawl explosion does. Sure, it would be better yet if the main heroine was an adult too, rather than another wretched high school student, but there's only so much one can ask for in today's anime industry. Joy. It is also worth mentioning that while most anime with a short runtime are relatively low production quality, Getsuyabi no Tawawa looks and sounds decent. Its cute, heartwarming piano pieces do well to give emotional weight to an anime that really should not have any. And I'm absolutely sure, based on how cute she was and how well she performed the role, that the main heroine's voice actor was someone renowned, but was pleasantly surprised to find she was a new face in the industry altogether. That's certainly worse anime to debut in. Same can be said for Getsuyobi no Tawawa as a whole, really. It could be worse, but it could be so much better. Sayaka Harada. That was her first show. Wow, I don't recognize any of these. Well, I mean, I recognize the name that. Index. Killing Bites. Oh, God! No! Bad, bad, bad. She's Miyu? There's no way she's Miyu. Is she really Miyu? Huh. Huh. Wow. Okay. But she's not Miyu for, like, the main ones, is she? Those are the ONAs. Well, second season. Huh. Don't mind me. Don't mind me. My weave is showing. My weave is showing. That's my favorite Idolmaster character because I think she has one of the most beautiful smiles I've ever seen in anime history. That is literally it. Straight up. Killing Bites is garbage. New game, ReZero, that's a 5. Planetarian, Kisniver, I watched that. Oh, I've watched this show, by the way. And you thought there's never a girl online. I've seen this show. It wasn't very good. What do you give me that face for? Look, everybody's got an Idolmaster phase, alright? And I liked Idolmaster. I like the Cinderella girls. I like the main Idolmasters. But my favorite Cinderella girl was definitely Miyu because I thought her smile was very, very, very good. Look it up. Look it up. She's got the best smile I've ever seen. She has such a warm expression on her face when she smiles. Here he is. Number 1 of the review chart. My boy. Alright. Everybody ready? Oh, great. Another light novel adaptation with a harem, a stupidly long title that nobody in their right mind would want to pronounce, and a story revolving around MMOs. The anime industry clearly hasn't had enough of those. It would be one thing if Netoge was just more run-of-the-mill mediocrity, but it instead goes all the way in being silly tripe. This is an anime where the protagonist's entire set of friends is an online game, just so happens to be attractive, in some cases popular, girls who conveniently attend the exact same high school and know him personally, including a twin-tailed tsundere and his in-game waifu, who immediately clings all over him and proclaims herself his wife, despite not actually knowing anything about who he is in the real world. If you were to drop the show immediately after the first episode, I would not blame you, and I would actually suggest you are making the right choice. It certainly does not do anything in the latter episodes to convince otherwise. He's right. All of his reviews have been number 1 or 2. This man spits facts. Plain and simple, alright? Plain and simple. This man, he's good at expressing his complaints. Now, granted, I'm not reading any of his positive reviews, but he's good at summing up his thoughts in a good way, but also has some good comedy to it. He's good. He's a good reviewer. I appreciate his input. It's just a shame I can't check out any of his more positive ones because I'm here for the poor reviews, you know? The poor reviews. Where am I? For what is supposed to be an anime involving romance, said romance is about as shallow and as juvenile as it can possibly get. They love each other over a video game. A game! This is not love. It is two mentally troubled and lonely children infatuated with one another because they share a superficial hobby and because they cannot get anyone better. Anyone who has dated before, especially at a young age, knows that desperate relationships like these never go anywhere, and the two of them like to imagine themselves a married couple. Really, marriage is not playtime. It requires a great deal of compromise and sacrifice, and would crush their childish fantasy as a result. A couple like this would not last more than a few weeks in reality, much less a lifetime. So forgive me if I do not care when the show tries to make me feel for them, and often, unfortunately, it does. Imagine dating. Facts. Facts. I have to wonder why he continuously watches shit anime, though. What are you doing, man? What are you doing to yourself? On numerous... Where am I? Anything that comes out of Ako's mouth is a pain to the senses. She claims real life is a kusoge and compares luck to item drops in a game. Even the most extreme of otaku on 2chan and other places have the sense to treat those sorts of comments as a joke. That Ako is completely serious about it makes it clear that she is a basket case and that the show has no interest in painting her as an actual person. She's a collection of silly tropes to throw on a body pillow and sell to otaku. At least something like Orimo, as painful as the show as often was, actually made an effort to make its characters something more than that. On numerous occasions, Ako makes it clear that she has a terrible girlfriend who has no right dating anyone. She even goes as far as to lie about meeting up with another dude to get back at the protagonist and make him jealous. Anybody, whether male or female, who thinks this is acceptable behavior is, frankly, scum. He should have dumped her right then and there, but he didn't. And he won't, because this is a harem anime. And harem anime do not care for their characters behaving like sensible human beings. His only 10 out of 10 is a 2,000 word review. Holy shit. What show? Is it Infinite Stratos? Is it one? It's not really a harem show, but there's a bunch of characters. There's three girl characters in it. So it's kind of like harem in a weird way. Where am I? That's Okay isn't all interested in making other girls, as there are a whole 4 of them. Feel like they actually have a place in the story. They could have just easily been taken out of the show without it affecting all too much. They exist primarily as eye candy, showing up, for example, in a Vapid Beach episode where they joined Ako, swimsuits and all, and lathering the protagonist with sunscreen. That's Okay doesn't really have any idea whether he wants to commit solely to Ako or fully embrace the harem route, and often it will switch directions 1 or more times per episode. They encourage the protagonist's relationship with Ako, and then the next moment they'll be rubbing their breasts against him and blushing in some pseudo-confession scene. Why? For what purpose? It also goes without saying that Netoge, given its genre, is rife with unnecessary fan service. The girls will all bathe together, making vaguely homosexual comments about each other and comparing their breast sizes. The huge amounts of steam covering their bodies so the otaku will be manipulated into buying the uncensored Blu-ray version. How many more years will it take until the anime industry matures beyond this? Until the money stops pouring in. Come on. Hit it with the heads of sadness. Every male besides the protagonist is depicted as a horrible loser with no hope of finding love. His group of male friends, who by the way were even less of an otaku than him, does nothing but envy his apparent success with the ladies, despite him being entirely bland and average and without anyone that would make the opposite sex interested in him. The protagonist is the single most important character in the story, and here he is the least interesting. I get it, the girls need to be cute in a harem series, and so they might take a higher priority, but there's still no excuse for making the protagonist a lifeless sack of nothing. I suppose the one thing that can be said in his favor is that he isn't entirely dense. Like most other protagonists in the genre, it actually makes an effort to go out and get things done. He could be worse. He could be, say, Ichika from Infinite Stratos. There it is again. That is like the 5th time. Netsuge tries to go for a similar art style to No Game No Life with its blue-colored outlines, although quite thankfully it does not try to assault the eyeballs nearly as much as No Game No Life in its excessively bright colors. Interestingly, Netsuge shows the MMO gameplay from both the player's perspective with sprites similar to the Ragnarok Online, and some sort of fantasy a la Sword Art Online presumably going on in their heads. If it has truly wanted to appeal to an audience nostalgia for these sort of games, it could have done without the latter. We don't need to see random online girls having their boobs bounce against the protagonist's arm. The real-world side of the story already has enough of that. Unless another lame harem anime is something you absolutely need in your life, Nettoge is something to be avoided. It is completely manufactured, playing the genre trope for trope in order to manipulate a few poor souls that pay money for it. You're better than that. You deserve better than something like this. Heck, anime deserves better. This man is shockingly based. In a few weeks' time, nobody will even remember Nettoge. The next generic light novel harem will roll around as it always does, season after season. Will anime fans ever get sick of them? Perhaps, but I sure don't want to sit around and wait. When is Infinite Stratos? Showa. Oh, I remember the show. Musaiga no Phantom World. I remember it because of the girl with the yellow sweater. I never watched it. I never watched this show. Alright? But I know what this show is. And I know it wasn't well received. I remember a Limbo episode. Oh, here he is again. Top of the food chain. Alright. Alright, here we go. Over the past few years, I have been a witness to the rapid decline of KyoAni. First came Shu2, a middling but otherwise inoffensive rom-com. To be honest, I don't like the Chiyonibyo series. I think it's bad. The show is good. Then came Kyokai no Kanata, an absolute disaster of writing, and the creaking of KyoAni's creative efforts could start to be heard. And now, several more mediocre series later, we have Musaiga no Phantom World. A title so vapid and effortless that I believe KyoAni has finally reached the point of being irredeemable. KyoAni is over, and it's not coming back. Little did he know, he was wrong. He was wrong. He was wrong. This is from 2016. He was wrong. But it's okay. This is a good thing to be wrong about. If not for the KyoAni name, now worthless, nobody would have cared about what Phantom World had to offer. It's your typical uninspired rom-com that we get in dozens every single year. There is nothing that you have to not seen here before, and nothing to inspire a viewing aside from the fact that it looks and sounds nice. They stay KyoAni on the outside, but on the inside they are merely a shallow, rotting husk of what they used to be. It is not even worth the time to discuss the art of Phantom World. Anyone who has seen even a single KyoAni anime knows exactly what they're getting here. Their art no longer impresses me. I am also getting tired of forgiving their show's terrible plots and characters just because they happen to look pretty. If all these are not capable of just drawing cute characters and flashy OPs and EDs, then perhaps they should leave anime and go work on manga and TV commercials instead. I think that this guy's not happy about this. He gave Stardust Crusaders a 5. Alright, hold on. Hold on. KyoAni seems to have forgotten what made the previous titles like K-On! And Haruhi so successful. Characters. There is not a character within the show who is developed in any meaningful way, and only one, Kurumi, is even worth a damn. And not just because I love twin tails and wish to be surrounded by twin tail beauties for the rest of my days. Alright, slightly more based. Slightly more based. Kurumi is the only one who actually feels like a person and not just an assortment of tropes slapped together. Cool, big boobs tsundere. She acts remarkably her age. Her seiyuu even goes as far as to stutter and poorly enunciate her words, as a girl in primary school would. I mean, I'll say, I had to look through the character listings to even remember her name. Which one's Kurumi? Kurumi is this one. 10 to 20. 10 to 20. Kurumi Kumananakura. And you got Mai Kawakami. Baba boom! Alright, back to the review. Where am I? Phantom World is another one of those dumb male friend characters similar to Ishiki and Shu2, but manages to do so little with him that you forget he even exists. Not only is he a waste of space just like every other character in this show, but it's real tiring seeing all these pseudo-harem anime capable of making a second male character who is actually a competent person and not just a background fodder or some dumb running gag. Ruru, the show's mascot character, clearly exists only to sell merchandise and figures. Unlike, say, Tamako Market's Dera-chan, who is actually a unique and amusing character, Little Fairy here is nothing but an annoyance. Her small size is quite fitting, being little more than a fly buzzing around the protagonist and the viewer's face. It's also quite pathetic how the show attempts to make us care for her suddenly, the protagonist stretching his hand towards the sky and screaming, "Tears! Drama! Give me a break!" Phantom World regularly treats its audience like it's a mass of buffoons who have never been to school. It uses, you guessed it, Schrodinger's cat in a vain attempt to seem more philosophical and meaningful than it actually is. Yes, we know what Schrodinger's cat is. We are not idiots. It does not need to be explained to us for the upteenth time in anime. The show even goes as far as to explain what a Trojan horse is, as if we know absolutely nothing about the world that have been sitting on our mommy's lap sucking our thumbs since the day we were born. Not only does Phantom World pull the awful transfer student trope, but the character is literally accepted into the school within hours of obtaining their human form, and they do so without any form of identification or previous educational experience that would, you know, be necessary in a school transfer. It is true that the series is not attempting to be perfectly realistic, but if it wants to use the high school setting, then at least, very least, should actually try to have its high school resemble a high school. Nothing interesting is done with the premise. Aside from, say, creating excuses for nonsense like all the characters suddenly turning into cats. I'm sorry, but giving the girls cat ears and a tail and making them all in their sentences with nyan does not do anything to improve the quality of the show. I enjoy cuteness in anime quite a bit, but the least KyoAni could do is to try to make it more natural and less artificial. Less like they are writing and structuring the anime by checking out boxes for everything they have ever considered cute. I have expected it to be an episode where everyone started calling the protagonist Oni-chan. A man my age should not be saying that word. Ugh. 10 to 20, by the way. There are regular doses of fan service in scenes such as the main heroine, Mai does the limbo dance, her boob... I'm actually 25, don't worry. Doing the limbo dance, her boobs... Yeah, there's the limbo dance scene. Doing her boobs jiggling and bouncing all over the place for the viewer's apparent satisfaction. Fan service as a whole really needs to go away from anime, at least as far as its sexual incarnation is concerned. There exists hentai, doujins, eroge, and other forms of pornography for a reason. If I wanted to feel aroused, I would watch or read one of the above-mentioned media. They do it far better. I do not come to anime to see butts and panties and girls being licked by slimy monster tongues as if I am a child who does not know what porn or sex actually is. I love sexy things as much as I love the story-driven stuff, but the two really do not need to mix unless it is absolutely necessary. I can count on one hand the times the anime had been able to pull that off successfully. He's right, you know. He's right, you know. He is shockingly based. He's correct. Why would I watch anime, story-rich anime, for booba when I can watch booba-rich anime for booba? Like, you see? Do you understand? You understand how that doesn't make any sense? I'm not watching PG-rated 13 shows so I can see, like, you know, things move on the clothes. You know? I'm gonna dig myself into a hole a little bit deeper here. Don't mind me. Just give me the shovel while I'm at it. But there's no reason... The fan service is one thing, but there's no reason to go so gratuitous and not do anything at all. You're just blue-balling the audience. In which case, I can just Google boob and get, like... How many results do I get for Googling boobs? Let me see. Boobs. 1,980,000,000 results for boobs. At 0.69 seconds. Nice! Impressive. Google it yourself. I swear to God. No cap. No cap. Nearly 2 billion results at the rate of 0.69 seconds. Alright, where am I? Where am I? Yes. At least Kyokai no Kanata, as poorly written as it was, could have been given the slightest bit of credit for trying. Phantom World doesn't even do that as much, as if KyoAni had accepted that their best days are forever behind them and have now resigned themselves to solely producing much lifeless, mediocre rubbish that will be forgotten after a month's time. Even producing something completely middling like Choo-Choo now seems to be beyond their reach. Their in-house writers are so incompetent that they may as well just go back to adapting visual novels again. They've clearly demonstrated how incapable they are doing anything themselves. People will still watch Phantom World because it is made by KyoAni. There are many people who still hold fond memories of the anime KyoAni used to make, and there are those who only just started watching their more successful titles and do not know what KyoAni of today is like. These fans are being manipulated and lured into watching a bad anime merely because it looks and sounds like a KyoAni title, and not because it's actually a worthwhile story on its own merits. It's a husk! Shiny as it may be, but empty it will ever be. A sad sight indeed. But the anime industry is a big place, and it will live on regardless. Even if one of the most influential studios has withered away, anime doesn't need KyoAni anymore. It's time to move on. I already have. I'm running out of time, chat, so I gotta give you one more. Shoujo Tachi Koya. I don't know what that is. Love Live, second season. Another bummer. Damn. Aisha Nikki. That's porn. My brother in Christ, that's porn. It's okay. The naughty bits were censored. So I'm safe. But that was just straight up porn. I'm gonna end it on his Infinite Stratos review. Shirobako, Mochizuki, Initial D, Magical Star Kenon. That's what God only knows. That's like an OVA, yeah. Gurisia no Kaitsu, Amamagi Brilliant Park, Sword Art Online 2. Oh baby. Barakamon. I love Barakamon. That's one of my favorites. I tend to rewatch that show a lot. He's right though. Everything he says here, I guarantee it's correct because I like that show a lot too. Draku Riot, Yobu Koe. It's a manga. Hold on. This one's really short. What is this? Having stayed isolated in his room for 15 years, an amateur artist finally decides to venture outside. Subsequently, he comes across an extraordinarily suspicious individual who kills a woman with a pair of scissors and gives them to the artist. Soon the bizarre incident leads to something even more appalling. It's a one-shot. Oh, these are not positive reviews. The Voice That Calls Me is a one-shot that defines the term abysmal. It is one thing to create a story with horrible artwork, dialogue, characterization, and themes, but it is another to marry your turd with morally reprehensible scenes which exist for no reason but to shock and appall the reader. By the end of those worthless 30 pages, I certainly felt shocked, but not because of the rape, castration, and murder, but because I couldn't understand why anyone would think it's okay to publish such a pile of shite. Allow me to explain the deep, intricate story found in the torturous 30 pages of The Voices That Call Me. Do keep in mind the spoilers will follow for the next 2 paragraphs in case you were in a masochistic mood and felt like experiencing this vulgar dreck firsthand. A young Mori is shut away, trapped in his room, and regularly participates in self-aggrandizing fantasies about the success he feels he deserves. A few pages later, he is shown to not only be a delusional twat, but a serial rapist and murderer. Eventually, he is caught in the act because locking the door while committing a terrible crime would make too much sense, and has his penis presumably cut off by the victim, and then it ends. That's it. Really. I suppose it does at least attempt to justify wasting the reader's time by passing it off as some form of dark humor, but it is a terrible attempt at humor nonetheless. The punchline is a variation of the "don't do this at home" cliche, a warning to the readers to not follow the voices outside or something else terrible will inevitably happen to them. And, oh wait, prepare to die of laughter, the news reporter saying this while holding a pair of bloody scissors in the last panel. Oh man, my sides are killing me. This is way too hilarious. It makes everything beforehand worth it. Why is the news reporter reporting on the crime holding the bloody scissors? The bloody scissors. Occasionally there is a sign that the story might delve into something more interesting. A talk at the supermarket with another lunatic about society glorifying family life. Or how all humans possess a unique talent, but of course those comments evaporate into thin air in the next panel. There's no conversation going on with the reader. The mangaka would rather rely on shock value than put in the effort to say something of value. The only way I can rationalize this manga's existence is the mangaka considers himself as part of the Denpa, radio wave genre, and it's likely he does, considering the protagonist literally following the radio waves inside his head. The Denpa genre involves disturbing and horror-like stories told through the eyes of a delusional or paranoid protagonist. Most of the time they attempt to convey the protagonist's mental breakdown by being deliberately incomprehensible at points, but the incomprehensibility and the voices that call me do not seem intentional. Unlike something such as Higurashi or the visual novel Subarashiki Hibi, the gore and degeneracy shown here exists only to disgust the reader. It doesn't bother to develop a haunting atmosphere to create a protagonist convincing enough that the reader can empathize with them. It's just shit happens here, go cringe and laugh at it. The Voices That Call Me is an abject failure in every regard. There's not a single thing about it that deserves praise, nor is there any reason to recommend this blubbering pile of filth to anyone who isn't a masochist. It's poorly crafted, pointless, and worse, utterly offensive. I suppose the only thing in its defense is that it's still not quite as bad as Apocalypse Zero. I thought he was going to say Infinite Stratos. I'll be real with you. I thought he was going to say Infinite Stratos. Soul Eater Not, Love Live, There's This Order a Rabbit. I like that show. It's fun. Umibo no Onako, I don't recognize that. Frisia, I don't recognize that either. Ushishi, Space Dandy, Chuni, I don't like that show. Little Brushes Refrain. I like Refrain, but I like the written stuff better. TQ, I'm surprised you just randomly did TQ3. Okay. Infinite Stratos 2. There it is. Rating 2. Hold on. Anime equivalent of a lobotomy. Alright. Alright, hold on. Surely he did the first one, right? Did he review the first one? I gotta see. Well, I mean, there's an easy way to see. Prequel. Infinite Stratos, 6.65. Is he here? You see. He's not here. He's not here. Okay, he's not here. So he didn't watch... If he watched the first one, it was so bad he didn't bother. But now we're on this one. It's got a 6.48. Infinite Stratos. Oh, man. All right, how long is this? It's not that long. All right. Here we go. Infinite Stratos 2 is the anime equivalent of a lobotomy. An anime so insipid, so devoid of intelligent thought that a trip to the garbage can would likely yield something more interesting. Maybe you'll feel dirty afterwards, but hey, at least you won't receive brain damage for it. I struggle to think of a single good thing to say when describing Infinite Stratos 2. Even the absolute worst of the medium, from the infamous Mars of Destruction to the nonsensical Cypher, can at least be laughed at in their awfulness. Not Infinite Stratos. It is everything wrong with the harem genre and the anime industry as a whole, assembled into one cretinous pile of filth. I'm just going to point out that's the third time he's used that word in all his reviews over the years. I think he likes that word. Cretinous. You would not need standards so low that they pass the Earth's core and leave the other side of the planet in order to appreciate this trash. Nothing went right. Everything went wrong. Hell, this is awful even by the first season standards. This is anti-anime. Allow me to describe one of Infinite Stratos' most asinine scenes. In the 6th episode, Charlotte finds herself in a situation where her panties have magically disappeared. Rather than simply tell Ichika the situation like any sensible person would, she convinces herself that lifting her skirt and directly showing him is the only way to get the point across. Ichika does as she asks and looks. Her response? Pervert. Another scene involves Ichika being forced to take body measurements of all the girls in the school, which every single one of them is happy about for some incomprehensible reason. He closes his eyes, so embarrassed by female cleavage, thinking to himself that a measuring tape does not require eyes to see. His complete lack of understanding about human anatomy results in him fondling the girl. Every single member of his harem then appears out of thin air and catches him in the act, screaming and assaulting him as the camera pans away. This show sounds great. Where do I sign up? Even from the very first episode, we know that a train wreck awaits. The antagonist walks down a dark corridor and meets 5 soldiers armed with assault rifles. They open fire, and all the bullets somehow manage to land in front of her feet or behind her. She jumps into the air, pulls out 2 pistols, and shoots them all with perfect accuracy. Yep, even the most brainless of Hollywood blockbusters aim for better than this, but I suppose Infinite Stratos never cared for quality in the first place. The final episode is the most brain-damaging of all. The antagonist's sidekick willingly reveals to one of the girls the location of a hidden bomb, and the main antagonist then unleashes a laser attack on 30 or 40 armed mech soldiers, annihilating them all instantly. Of course, Ichika, the most worthless soldier in the entire school, and the members of his harem can take her on a one-on-one fight. However, as the final insult to the audience's intelligence, a Deus Machina unfolds, placed in direct sight of the enemy at the most convenient time possible. They then escape, and the story ends with a random onsen scene where Ichika passes out in the girls' bath. Okay. Oh, man. I've never seen it. Wait. What? Are you saying the first episode scene or the last episode scene? Is this like an infamous scene in anime? What is this? What is this scene? I don't know anything about Infinite Stratos. I've never watched it or seen anything on it. Are you telling me this show has an infamous scene? I know the boob matrix scene. That's from High School of the Dead, though. Where was I? I don't really watch the ending. I do not know how a show so stupid could have ever been produced. Even putting aside the abysmal writing, the harem aspect, the anime's sole appeal fares no better. The 2 new additions to his harem, Tatanashi and Kanzashi, suddenly fall in love with Ichika for no bloody reason at all. In the case of Kanzashi, All Ichigo ever had to do was smile a lot and play the White Knight role once for her to be head over heels for him. There are so many damn members of his harem that you may as well just throw the entire school at this point. What do they even see in Ichigo anyway? He is one of the most insipid protagonists ever created, absent of any personality. The animators should have just drawn a rock instead. At least that way they would have been one less thing to infuriate the audience. It's bad, but it's not that bad. I don't know, it sounds pretty fucking bad. It's not as bad as he makes it out to be. I don't know, man, it sounds pretty bad. What did he give this anyway, a 3? He gave it a 2. Aside from having the intellect of a toddler, Ichika has the maturity of one too. He is so adverse to any female contact, even visibly cringing in one scene where a girl's breast rubs up against him, that you would ordinarily assume he is a homosexual. The fact that he has 7 girls blatantly chasing after him and does not recognize it is a testament to how dreadful his characterization is. A decent harem series would have the protagonist aware long before this point, if not already actively pursuing one of the girls. Future harem anime should take notes from Sora, no Otoshimoto, or Henneko, and treat Infinite Stratos like the plague it is. Unsurprisingly, the female characters are just as bad. Even the two with a brain, Hoki and Charlotte, inevitably fall victim to the show's abysmal writing. The most obnoxious is Celicia. Her voice is so excruciating that it would be more appropriate in the 9 circles of hell. Lin, on the other hand, has just as much presence as a shadow, while Kanzashi lacks any sort of personality or defining feature except has glasses. Infinite Stratos 2 is terrible even from a technical perspective. All of the action scenes are rendered in low-budget CG, and many times the characters' faces will look like they were drawn by a 10-year-old with a cheap how-to-draw manga textbook. The soundtrack is also rubbish and comprises mainly of elevator music and a tuba endlessly making the same 2 to 3 notes. During the action scenes, the music is so turgid and overdramatic that it almost becomes hilarious when combined with the infantile dialogue. It is rare to find an anime as bad as Infinite Stratos. It is the exact kind of tripe that gives anime such a bad image in mainstream society. Regardless of whether you enjoy the harem genre or despise it, absolutely nothing of value will be found here. Even as mindless entertainment, it fails miserably. Avoid it like the plague, or better yet, convince yourself that it does not even exist. You will save yourself some sanity that way. If this is the future of the anime industry, then God help us. He doesn't have anything to say about the first game, apparently. Oh, man. Wow. Well, there you go, chat. That was about 2 hours. Amazing. What else? Okay, so I'm gonna stop here, but you know, there are a few other ones. Let me see them. Let's where's a good place to leave off? On Steins Gate. Hanasaku Iroha. That was a good show. Touch. This is the one that he put a massive review for. Touch. 101. Oh, this is the same writer as Cross Game. It's a big one. Yeah. This is the same writer, yeah, as what's it called? Where's the writer? Where's that information? Is that producers? No. Licensor? No. Manga? Well, that's the director, not the writer. I guess I'll go to the manga, I'll get the writer. Touch, yeah. Or not. There's H2. There it is, Cross Game, yeah. He's the writer of Cross Game, which 50 episodes. I love this show, by the way. I've watched it twice. Authors on the left? Oh, I completely missed it. Cross Game is 50 episodes long. I've watched it twice. This author in particular really likes portraying romance mixed in with sports. So this one is all about this one's all about baseball. This one put me on my baseball kick for a while. But I genuinely love Cross Game. I've watched it twice, as I said, like 3 times now. It's very, very, very good. Very good. And Touch, I assume, it's one of his earlier works, which is probably got the same appeal to it. But a 10 10, 10, 10. Animation 4. But it's 100 episodes. That's a lot. 101 episodes even. I probably won't watch it, but I do like Cross Game a lot. Cross Game and Major I enjoyed. So where's Oh, he actually gave Orimo a 6. Impressive. Date Alive 5. All right, chat. Well, I'm going to stop. I'm going to pull the plug here. I don't know how many reviews I've gone through at this point, but I'm pretty sure this guy has 100 reviews. I'm pretty sure I've gone through at least 30 of them, or gone through 30 of them. So there's plenty for next time. Don't you worry. But what, you know, so this segment was originally supposed to be, I was just going to look at random shows. I was supposed to look at random shows and just read like reviews for them. But it just so happened that the guy who wrote that legendary Sword Art Online 2 review that I like so much also wrote that one for Shield Hero. And Shield Hero was 100% just, I'm just gonna try this because maybe it'll be good. And it took me down the rabbit hole. So today's stream was sponsored by Veronin. So I'm gonna put Nico in the thumbnail, of course. I'm just gonna borrow his image. Amazing. And he's Canadian. Ba-boom. Wow. Everything. So next Saturday will be more of the same for sure, yeah. But that was great. That was fantastic. I had a lot of fun with that. That was fun. I'm gonna do more of that next week for sure. You'll get more Mal reviews. I hope you enjoyed, chat. Hearing the objective opinions of somebody who watches anime and why shows are bad. I learned some things today, like how that fucking My Sister My Writer show had put that show had actually put an accidental what do you call it? Not an accidental, but they put a cry for help. They put a cry for help in the end credits. That's great. That's great. I don't know what Susei no Garanta is. What is this? It's got a 7.47. Looks like mech. I don't like mech. Looks annoying. 6, 8, 7, 6. Well, 6 is better than 5. Anyway, that's all you're gonna get from me. Next time, chat, more reviews. Poggies.